Hi, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about my January TBR. I haven't done monthly TBRs properly now, like every single month, for a little while. I did used to do them every month, but I just stopped. I don't really know why. I just decided I'd like either pick from my shelves or was making more seasonal TBRs. So this year I really want to try and stick to doing monthly TBRs because while I love being able to pick a book from loads of books on my shelves, I'm not going to give a specific number, but plenty of books. It's like browsing loads of bookshelves in bookshops. As a mood reader, it can be a little bit like, I want to read a fantasy, but which fantasy should I read? And I spend so long picking what one I want to read that I just go into like a book slump. So picking some out is going to be able to just give me some that I can just grab if I'm in the mood for that genre. So there's a mix of genres here. When I'm in the mood for that specific genre, I'm gonna pick it from this TBR rather than my whole shelves, and the book's just gonna be picked out for me at the start, and it's gonna be much simpler. So a couple of these have moved over from my end of year TBR from last year because I didn't get to them and I still really want to read them because they're like winter based. So a couple of these are from that. A couple of these do also fit in with goals that I kind of want to do this year, but I'll talk about those when I talk about the certain books that they're for. So I'm just going to do them. I'll start with, also there is my Kindle reads, but I'll talk about them last. So we'll start with my current read, which is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is a cozy fantasy. We are following Emily Wilde, and she is a dryadologist. She studies dryadology, which is the study of fae and fairies and like mystical creatures. She is trying to write an encyclopedia of all these different creatures around the whole world, and she's the first one to compile it all into one encyclopedia, whereas like authors before her have done magical creature books on one specific region. She's doing the whole world. So we're following her on her expedition to a fictional village in Northern Europe, I believe. So it's like a fictional place set in our actual world kind of thing. So she's actually going there because she's heard there's these fae called hidden ones, which is the fae that we'll know from many fantasy books, the like ones that seem human but aren't. She's heard that they're like in this village, so she's hoping to find them, but she is also there to see other ones as well. So you have common fae, which are the like little ones like brownies and other little mystical creatures. And then you have courtly fae, which are the ones that seem human. She's staying in this little cottage near the mountains. It's a wintry landscape, and that's why I'm reading this now in winter, because I had seen around that it's a good one to read in winter. And I love cozy fantasy. So yeah, at the moment she's met the creature with the fingernails as long as its body, and she's also been sent a letter from this guy called Bamblebee. He is a scholar back in Cambridge that she knows. She doesn't really get on with people very well, but he thinks that he's her best friend. She doesn't see him as that, so it's kind of like a love-hate relationship between them. And there's like a little inkling that he might be planning to come down to join her, and she's thinking please no, because he just thinks that they get along really well. She doesn't get along with people, but she does find him amusing, is the words that she used, if I remember rightly. So I gather he's gonna probably come down. They're gonna try and discover these magical creatures together, maybe find some fae, some hidden ones, and it's just gonna be a little cozy fun time, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I also love this cover. I absolutely adore it, and I think this is gonna be the book for me, to be honest. So with keeping in theme with winter, the next two are from my end of year TBR from last year, but I didn't get to them, so I'm carrying them over to January this year. So we have The Last Bear by Hannah Gold. This follows April, who goes to the Arctic with her father, who goes there to do research. She ends up finding this polar bear who is starving and lost and lonely, and she just really wants to help the polar bear. So you just follow April and the polar bear on their little adventure of becoming friends and like her trying to save the polar bear. Also, Michael Morpurgo says it's unforgettable, and he's my favourite author when I was a child, so I think it's going to be really good. And then we have If on a Winter's Night, a Traveller by Italo Calvino. This is basically just a book about reading. So you follow the narrator who goes in a bookshop, buys a book, takes it away to read it, realises there's a error within the copy, so takes it back to exchange it for a different one. But then when you go away and read it as the narrator, it's a completely different book, and then you just keep doing the same thing, and each time you get a completely different book. That's all I know about it, to be honest. And it just the narrator always says you, so it's basically talking to like you as a reader. I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be like about how readers can all read the same book but we all experience it differently, and like the narrative depends on who's reading it. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm really excited for it. I think it's gonna be really good. I think it's gonna be really interesting the way it's written and how it is gonna like talk to you like you're there. But I'm really excited to read this one. And then we have From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. I've been wanting to read a Mariana book for so long, and then I finally got this one and I didn't read it. I don't know, that happens so often. Like, I really want to read a book, so I get it and then I just put it on my shelf and I forget about it. That's the problem with having too many books that you want to read. But I'm really excited to finally get to one of her books, and I think this is going to be good. I just finished an ice dancing book, which was The Favourites by Lane Fargo. It was really good, and so I'm kind of into my ice-based sports era. So I'm really excited for this one because this one's about ice skating. I think it's gonna be really good. I really love ice skating as well, ever since I watched Yuri on Ice when I was in high school. Honestly, all I know about this is that it's a romance, and you have Jasmine Santos. That's my name. I didn't know that was the name of the character. Okay, so you have me. No. No, so you follow Jasmine Santos. She is coming to the end of her career in figure skating. She's been figure skating for 17 years, so she wants to like do something big. So she gets this opportunity to do a big figure skating competition, but to do it she has to either train or compete alongside. I don't know if they compete as a duo or he's just got to train her. Either way, there's this guy she doesn't get along with. They're literally like enemies, so it's gonna be like enemies to lovers. They have to either like train together or not, or ice skate together. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it's gonna be good. So then they have to get along, and so she has to put all her hate for him aside to go out with a bang from her ice figure skating career. I don't know why I kept putting this off for so long. I'm so excited to read it, and I think it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited for it. It's a slow burn, enemies to lovers. Sign me up. I would love to do ice skating though. One of the unis I'm applying to for my masters has an ice skating club. I've never been ice skating, but I know I would love it. I know I would love it. Anyway, moving on. So then we have, what should I go next? So then we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This has been on my shelf a while, but I did just get recommended this by a friend, so I think it's time to finally pick it up. I did also just read a Matt Haig book in December, A Boy Called Christmas, which I did only give 3 stars, but the friend who read this one has given it 5 stars. So, and this is written for adults, whereas A Boy Called Christmas was written for children, so maybe I'll enjoy his writing more in this style, and I trust her recommendations, I hope. So basically you follow Nora. She goes into this like library, and each book shows her a different path she could have taken during her life. yeah, on her last day on Earth, she's transported to the library, and each book contains, like, think of the multiverse in Marvel. There's like a branch, and each book is a different one of the branches, and she could have taken either of those if she made certain choices. So you follow her discovering what these choices could have done to her life, how she could have lived differently, and that's basically all I know. It just says, which raises the ultimate question: with infinite choices, what is the best way to live? I think it's going to be really interesting to look deeper into that concept of regrets and how our lives can be completely different based on one decision at one moment in time. I think it's really, really cool. I'm really excited to read it. So then we have Aristotle and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World by Benjamin Alias Signs. I've been waiting to read this for so long. I pre-ordered this so that I'd be able to read it straight away, and then I got it and I never read it. That happens too often. But pre-ordering is still good whether you read it straight away or not, because it contributes to authors' sales in their first week. But we are finally going to read it, hopefully this month. That was a really weird, there we go, hopefully this month. You follow Ari and Dante, who you meet in the first book. So the first book is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. You basically just follow these two boys in their daily lives. Wait, let me get the first book. So this is the first book, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I absolutely loved this book. This is from when I used to tab books, so it was a while ago I read it, and when I used to do quote cards with all my favourite quotes, but I do remember it very well, so I'm not going to reread to read this one. You basically just follow Aristotle and Dante. They meet, they're two different young boys, and you just follow them in their daily lives as they get to know each other and help each other through their things that they're experiencing. So you have Dante is articulate and self-assured, whereas Ari has a hard time with words and suffers from self-doubt. Ari's older brother is in prison, so he gets lost in like loads of thoughts, and then Dante tends to get lost in poetry and art, and they just meet and they help each other. So traumatic things happen, hence why there's blue tabs. Honestly, now that I'm looking at this, I kind of want to reread it to read this one, so that might happen or it might not. I don't know. I tend not to reread that often, but there is a couple of series I want to finish that I do want to reread the first ones of, like Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. I do know I want to read the first one, and now that I'm holding this one, I kind of want to reread Ari and Dante. But anyway, the book that's on my physical TBR, the second one, Ari and Dante Dive into the Waters of the World, I'm excited and scared for this one. I have seen zero spoilers, so I have absolutely no idea how this one's gonna go, but I am a little bit scared. I don't know. I think that's why I've been putting it off, because I am scared. So in the first one, Ari and Dante do fall in love. So in this one, you're following them as they're growing up, and you're also following them trying to navigate life in a world where they're not completely accepted. Yeah, it literally says, together the boys are determined to make themselves seen and heard in a world that challenges their very existence. It also says, Ari is faced with a shocking loss. He'll have to fight like never before to create a life that is joyfully his own. And that scares me, because what do you mean Ari faces a loss? Where's Dante gone? Anyway, really good books, love them. Scared but excited. I'm actually so excited to pick this up now, and do I reread the first one? I don't know, but anyway, it's really, really good. The writing as well, like, is really, really good and flows really well. Really excited for that one. And then we have On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, one of my goals this year is to finish some series that I've started, or like as many series as I can that I've started, that I'm in the middle of, and one of them is this one. So once I finish this one book, that'll be one series completed. Then, so next we have On the Come Up by Angie Thomas, and I have read all the books I own by her other than this one, so that's why I want to read this to complete this author's collection on my shelves. So we're following 16-year-old Brie, who wants to be a rapper like her father was. She is labelled trouble by the school. Her mother has just lost her job, so she has a lot of things going on. My dog wants to come in. So yeah, she has a lot of things going on, but she also starts to realise that becoming a rapper is much more now a necessity than just something she really wants to do, because it's going to enable her to save her family, not be pushed out onto the streets, and just enable them to have a much better quality of life. So she really starts striving for this goal, and it just follows her on achieving that dream. So I am really excited for it, and I think it's gonna be really good. I really love Angie Thomas's writing. When I'm reading any one of her books, I just keep turning the page, like it flows so well. I'm just so gripped. Every single sentence is so artfully crafted that you just never get bored. I just like read them so quick because I don't want to look away. She has this way of just pulling you in and making you feel like you need to sit there and listen to every single word, and you can't leave. So I'm really excited for this. I think this is going to be really good. Then we have a fantasy. So one of my goals this year is to make it through some of my fairy reads, because I have not read that many. I don't know why, because it's always a book that sounds really interesting or a book I've wanted since hearing about it. But I just haven't read that many. So I want to get through a lot of my fairy books that I've got, because like I said, they all sound really interesting and I love a fantasy. So the one that I'm picking for this month is Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsupalo. So this focuses on a girl called Io. So it's in a world where the descendants of gods inherit their powers. So they inherit the powers, and we're following someone who's inherited the powers of the Greek fates. So she can see fate lines, which are these silver threads that tie people to life and to each other. And she makes a discovery that someone is walking around with a severed thread line. So they shouldn't technically be alive. Like, it's a little bit confusing what they're doing, and they're also going around murdering people. So she ends up partnering up with this boy from a violent mob from the city that she's living in, and she partners up with him to solve the case, but at the same time she's trying to ignore the fact that there is a fate line between them, drawing them together. They're technically soulmates, so there's a romance going on at the same time. So it's a murder mystery with fantasy with romance. I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be so good. So then we have Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry by Jill Goffney. This is just a cute little rom-com. You have this girl called Quinn, I think that was her name, yes, Quinn Jackson. She loves making lists, and I love making lists too. So I think that's why I actually picked it up in the first place when I got it. She has a whole journal that she fills with lists, but one day she loses it, and the person that has stolen it posts all these lists on an Instagram account. So these lists show all different things, like boys she'd like to kiss, things she'd never admit out loud, all different things that she would not want getting out and public. So they post this on Instagram, and she wants to track down her list journal, and she teams up with this guy, and then you follow them trying to track down a journal, and it's just a little rom-com, and I think it's really good. So then we have a Record of a Night Too Brief by Hiromi Kawakami. This is translated by Lucy North. So we just follow, it's got 3 different stories in it, like short stories, and you just follow these young women as they experience like loss and grief and romance, and it's all just, I think it's like full of like some weird things. Yeah, so you have the first one, a woman travels through an unending night with a porcelain girlfriend, monsters of the mist, and a monkey who shows no mercy. And then you have a sister mourns her brother, visible only to her, while her family welcome his would-be wife into their home. And a shop girl steps on a snake in a park and begins to see serpents lurking in the lives of everyone she knows. So you just follow these women on these weird adventures that are probably going to have much more deeper meaning to them than what they appear to be on the outside. And I'm going to be honest, this was a cover buy. I've never heard of this author, but I'm excited to see where this goes, because it sounds strange but wonderful, and I'm excited. That's all I can say, because I have no idea how to describe this other than reading you the blurb that I just did. I believe this is going to be a really interesting way of exploring grief, loneliness, emotions through the eyes of women experiencing weird and strange events. I love fungi and I love the way the colours went together on this. This is by Pushkin Press, this cover. I just really like this cover. But I think it's really cool. So that's my physical TBR. Oh, that's my, there we go. So that's my physical TBR for the month. I'm really excited about it. I am so excited to read all of these. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to read next after Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I'm just really enjoying this one at the moment, so I'm not going to think too much about what's next. I'm just going to quickly go through my Kindle ones. So on my Kindle, I am back to my Ever Dark, Ever Deadly series reading. I did pause it for over December because I wanted to read Christmas reads, but I'm going back to it. I am now reading the 4th book, which is Shatter the Dark. And these are by Jenna Collette. I absolutely am loving this series. So the one I'm now starting kind of takes you back to the second one, Wolfish Charms, where there was a character in Wolfish Charms who had a dagger. In the second one, you go on the adventure with the characters to try and get the dagger. We're now with the character that had it before they took it off him. So we're following how he came to have it, and it's going to be a romance between him and this girl who is from a retelling of Hansel and Gretel. Does that all make sense? So I'm describing this one without connecting it to the other ones. We're following Liana, who was adopted by a family after she escaped a witch. A witch locked up her and her brother. That part was a little Hansel and Gretel retelling. So now we're following Liana. She's escaped. She's been adopted by this family, but the father of that family, so her new father, has been taken in and put into prison for a crime he hasn't committed. It was basically part of a plan for this other guy called Bowen to get Liana to go to him, because Bowen knows that Liana made this dagger. So she falls for it. She goes to him because she wants to barter to get her father out of prison, and while she's there, she ends up getting to know Bowen, and there's going to be a little romance between them, which I'm really excited for because Jenna Collette is so good at writing romance. I love these books so much. He starts to fall for her. She has enemies of her own, the witch, that she wants that start to come back into her life. She has to start preparing for that, and he has to decide whether to fight his battles or the battle of the girl that he's now falling for. And that part is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So it starts with Hansel and Gretel retelling, and then it goes into Beauty and the Beast retelling. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I am currently reading that. I did start that last night or the night before. I can't quite remember. And I'm really excited. It's good so far. I love Jenna Collette's writing style, and she just writes characters so well. Every character is so well fleshed out. And the way the story follows along in each book as well is really good. Like how now we're going back to the second one to see how the dagger came about. It's just really cool and I really love it. And you should definitely read it because I need more people to read it so that we can talk about it, because I just love it so much. The next one I want to read will be the next one in the series, Edge of Wonder, which I believe is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. I'm going to load that up and make sure. Yeah, it is. It's an Alice in Wonderland retelling because it says Alice Montgomery has spent her life hiding from the mercenaries hunting Wonderland royals. Still years away from claiming her birthright through a series of deadly challenges, she follows through on a risky plan to trick them into thinking she's dead. Unfortunately, it works a little too well. Now she's trapped, haunting an old clockmaker's cottage. Then in comes Sebastian, and he's gonna try and save her. He doesn't really want to. He has this prophecy with him where he's gonna have to save a princess, but he's like, I want to ignore that prophecy. And Sebastian is a ghost hunter, so he's able to see ghosts, and he comes face to face with a ghost from his past who kind of turns his mind around, and he realizes he needs to maybe fulfill this prophecy, and he starts to get to know Alice, and Alice is also trying to reclaim the throne. So then Sebastian ends up having to go to this kingdom, Wonderland, and save the princess because he's convinced into fulfilling the prophecy. So then he has to do that and try and escape that kingdom at the same time, and it's just gonna be so good. So they're kind of the only two on my Kindle I want to focus on because I have a lot of physical reads here I do want to focus on, and I just really want to finish the Ever Dark, Ever Deadly series. I don't, because I want to be there forever. I want to be reading it forever, but I'm also really excited to read the Alice in Wonderland retelling as well as this Hansel and Gretel and Beauty and the Beast retelling. think they were really fun. I'm really excited to get back to Jen and Colette's world and her writing. I've missed it so much. I'm so glad to be going home. I'm really excited for all of the books I picked for this month. So that's my TBR, my January TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts on them, and then I can prioritise. I think I could have some 5 stars here. If you've read any, let me know your thoughts on them. That'd be interesting to see. I'm just really excited about all of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good reading month. Happy New Year, and hopefully I'll see you again. Thank you for watching. Bye.